Chief executive arrives in Kazakhstan with delegates. University of Science and Technology announces new medical school dean. And University of Science and Hong Kong Electric offers discount for those who charge their electric cars during off-peak hours. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Chief Executive JUN begins his visit in Kazakhstan. His delegation meets with the local investment agency and Chamber of Commerce to discuss bilateral economic cooperation. Chief Executive JUN, accompanied by Trade Development Council Chairman Frederick Ma and the Hong Kong business delegation, reach Kazakhstan as they embark on their 7-day Central Asian trip. The delegation is the largest in the current administration, with not just government officials, but also more than 40 business and professional representatives and some 30 representatives from mainland enterprises. JUN says the Kazakh government attaches great importance to this visit. He says the delegation has to achieve good results with great team spirit and the courage to tell a good Hong Kong story. The delegation then held a roundtable forum with Kazakh Invest and Kazakhstan's National Chamber of Entrepreneurs to discuss trade opportunities. Some delegates say Kazakhstan's business community is very interested in investing in Hong Kong. Jeffrey Lam, chairperson of the board of Hung Shui Q Industry Park Company, says they introduced the Hung Shui Q Park, the Northern Metropolis, and several other hubs in Hong Kong to their Kazakh counterparts. Trade Development Council Chairman Frederick Ma also says Kazakhstan has great investment potential. He says mining industries could leverage Hong Kong's capital market, and Kazakhstan can also make use of Hong Kong's role as a super connector and value adder for their businesses. Ma says their Kazakh counterpart will send representatives to Hong Kong in mid-June to hold a seminar introducing Kazakhstan's economic opportunities. The Hong Kong University of Science and Technology announces Lee King-chun as the founding dean of its medical school. Lee is a world-renowned physician, scientist, and biomedical innovator. Mimosa Ngai reports.
At a press conference, HKUST introduces the founding dean of its new medical school. After a global recruitment and review process of more than 100 candidates from 10 countries and regions, Lee King-chun stood out as the ideal pick. Born and raised in Hong Kong, Lee spent most of his time in Canada and the U.S., serving as the founding dean of the Cal-Illinois College of Medicine at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. When asked what prompted him to return to Hong Kong and contribute to the local medical field, Lee says it wasn't his initial plan.
In the beginning, I have never thought about coming back to Hong Kong. But when President Yip approached me and presented me with something that I cannot refuse, the ability to contribute to a very, very important task that can influence not just locally, but potentially the entire country and the world, is something that I can't really turn down.
Committed to interdisciplinary collaboration, Lee has experience in connecting fields such as radiology, bioengineering, and nanotechnology.
Using technology and innovation to transform and revolutionize healthcare delivery is something that is urgent, and is something I have done before. Looking back on my experience in UIUC, I see that the opportunity here is actually larger because we have an entire country that have already decided to head in this direction.
Nancy Yip, the university's head, says the new institution will collaborate with the other 2 medical schools in the city. The first batch of 50 medical school students is expected to enroll in 2028-29. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
Starting today, the city's 2 power companies will raise fuel surcharges. Hong Kong's gas provider Town Gas says rising raw material prices create pressure on the cost, and they are in talks with the government to raise gas fees. Naphtha accounts for 30% of the fuel mix of Hong Kong's town gas, while 70% of it comes from natural gas. While the last fare hike was introduced in August 2024, Town Gas says the cost of naphtha has doubled since January. As for natural gas, Town Gas signed a 25-year contract with an Australian supplier back in 2006, which allows its cost to remain stable. As the contract will expire in 2031, it is now discussing with the supplier in contract renewal. Town Gas adds gas sales in the first half of the year fell by 3% year-on-year, mainly due to hot weather leading to reduced residential gas sales, while the use in hotels and dining sectors saw a slight increase. Hong Kong residents' travel habits to the mainland have also affected commercial gas sales. The annual gas sales volume is expected to dip by less than 3%. The development of the northern metropolis is estimated at 1.5 million new customers and bring additional gas sales. Electric vehicle drivers who power up at residential car parks can apply to a new initiative that may see their bills slashed. Hong Kong Electric's tariff scheme is encouraging drivers to charge their cars during off-peak hours. Under the scheme, Hong Kong Island drivers will receive a rebate or an additional charge depending on the electricity consumption during the time of the day. If drivers charge their vehicles between 2 and 6 a.m., which is considered super off-peak hours, they will receive a refund of 18.7 cents per unit of electricity. From 6 to 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., the rebate is 9.3 cents for every unit. But drivers must pay an extra 18.7 cents per unit if they charge their cars between 8 and 11 p.m. The utility company hopes to help drivers better manage their energy costs and support Hong Kong's transition to a low-carbon city. Starting today, the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department will conduct checks on dogs in public areas for rabies vaccination records and chip implants. Pet owners will be instantly charged if they committed relevant offenses. This, as an animal rights group says, the risk of rabies remains high in Hong Kong and suggests authorities pour their resources into tackling the city's stray dog problem. Timothy Lee has more.
Under the rabies regulation, dogs aged 5 months or above must receive chip implants as well as rabies vaccination. Dog owners must then obtain a relevant license, which should be renewed every 3 years upon the subsequent vaccination. But according to government data, only 150,000 pet dogs out of the total 220,000 in the city have received chip implants as of 2 years ago. The AFCD is stepping up efforts to enforce the pet regulation and will begin inspecting pet dogs for chip implants and vaccine records in public areas starting today. Pet owners found to have committed relevant offenses will be immediately charged with a maximum fine of up to $10,000. Some residents share their thoughts on the new measure. This woman says the regulation helps to protect pet dogs and prevent the spread of rabies. While this man says the measure increases the safety of non-pet owning residents who fear dog bites, adding it is beneficial for the whole community. This, as an animal rights group spokesperson, says illegal pet trafficking remains rampant in the city and urges authorities to ensure the measure is aimed at the right target. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong is drawing up its first 5-year plan, a blueprint expected to shape the city's future for years to come. As the government sets to launch a public consultation this month, a scholar and lawmakers say the planning should be focused and strategic rather than overly detailed. Chief Executive John Lee said in February, Hong Kong will formulate a 5-year development blueprint. While the 5-year plan is a new concept for Hong Kong, the mainland has been using the approach for more than 7 decades. The plans have long been a key tool of national governance, with priorities evolving to meet the needs of different eras. Since 2006, instead of just plan, the blueprint has officially been called Development Plan, underscoring the government's greater emphasis on market forces. Officials say Hong Kong's version will cover a wide range of policy areas, with innovation and technology, financial development, and the northern metropolis expected to feature prominently. So how will the city's first 5-year plan differ from the annual policy address? Advisor of the Chinese Association of Hong Kong Macau Studies, Lau Siu-kai, says the policy address contains too many day-to-day policy matters, while the 5-year plan will focus more on long-term development or integration with national strategies. In January, lawmaker JUN proposed in the Legislative Council the need to implement a Hong Kong-style 5-year plan. Says after the 1997 handover, the government strongly supported innovation and technology with a $5 billion fund for the sector. But for some time, innovation and technology was absent in policy discussions. Says with long-term planning, such things will likely happen less. All 15 policy bureaus have formed dedicated working groups to prepare the document. For the first time, the government and the Legislative Council have set up a coordination mechanism with all legislators assisting in collecting public opinion. Stanley Ng, Chief Coordinator of LegCo's Subcommittee on Hong Kong's work to actively dovetail with the National 15th Five-Year Plan, says people may think labor and business representatives would naturally disagree. But when everyone is focused on expanding Hong Kong's overall economic pie, differences become much smaller. Unlike the mainland, where state-owned enterprises often play a major role in implementing the 5-year plans, Hong Kong's version will rely heavily on market participation. The Hong Kong Retail Management Association calls on the government to tap more business opinions when formulating the plan. As Chairwoman Annie Yao Tse says, macro directions are definitely necessary, but more engagements with the business community from the start will allow better alignment with market needs. She says it is also an opportunity to explore ways to help Hong Kong enterprises enter the mainland market and improve the overall business environment. In their latest dueling attacks, the American military claimed they have conducted self-defense strikes on military sites in southern Iran on Saturday and Sunday, which are answered by the Iranian forces' air base attack. The two sides are still locked in a fragile standoff in the Strait of Hormuz, which Tehran has had in a chokehold for much of the war. Danny Zhou has details.
The U.S. Central Command says it was carrying out new strikes bombing radar and drone command and control sites around Iran's Garuk City and Qasem Island over the weekend. The CENTCOM declares on Monday the measures are in response to aggressive Iranian actions that include the shoot-down of a U.S. MQ-1 Predator-armed drone operating over international waters. Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard Corps acknowledges launching a barrage of retaliatory strikes on an airbase used by the U.S. without specifying where. Sirens sound over the Kuwait city at dawn, and emergency alerts are sent to residents across the Gulf nation that is home to the Mideast Forward Command for the U.S. Army. Kuwait says its air defense opened fire to intercept the incoming drone and missile fire early Monday. U.S. President Donald Trump, who remains optimistic over the prospects of a peace deal, posted on his Truth Social platform at midnight, saying Iran really wants to make a deal and it will be good for Washington and its allies. The two countries earlier reached a tentative agreement that would prompt a 60-day memorandum of understanding to extend the ceasefire. Washington has reportedly amended elements of the draft and sent it back to Tehran. This, as officials indicate, Trump has raised concerns over some texts, including the release of Iran's frozen assets, and wants tougher terms on its nuclear commitments. Tehran reacts by saying it will make its own amendments and will only accept a draft deal it agrees to, and adds nothing is final yet. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi tells State TV that the country should not give importance to speculation and cannot judge the talks until they get a clear result. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Kalibaf states Iran aims to secure tangible gains and pledges not to grant a blank check to any of the parties involved in the talks, while cautioning about falling into the trap of protracted, wearisome conflicts. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron notes he talked with leaders of Saudi Arabia, Oman, the Emirates and Egypt in hopes that they could help the US and Iran seize the opportunity for a swift peace deal on ceasefire and reopen the Strait of Hormuz without conditions and in accordance with international law. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Ebola infection numbers continue to rise in the Democratic Republic of Congo as the World Health Organization sets up a treatment center to combat the outbreak. Meanwhile, 4 nurses in Congo's Bunia made full recovery after beating the Bundibugyo strain of the virus. Danny Zhou has more.
The number of confirmed Ebola cases in the Democratic Republic of Congo rises to 282, with 42 deaths, after 19 new positive test results were recorded, according to latest update from DRC authorities. An Ebola treatment center has been set up in Bunia to address the outbreak. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, World Health Organization Director General, says the facilities, which stand in isolation from the local hospital, will rehabilitate those infected.
If you come to the facilities, to health facilities, when you have symptoms, you can get the support and recover. So the key is to come forward as early as possible and to get the necessary support. Through that, you can recover. So we can stop this Ebola.
The WHO chief meets with 4 nurses who survived the Bundibugyo and says they offer hope that the outbreak can be stopped and those who suffer can make full recoveries. This despite his previous comments on the lack of licensed vaccine or treatment targeting the Bundibugyo strain. One of the recovered nurses says he feels happy after his second and third tests came back negative. It's a great joy because many people who were in the same situation as me have died, he says. Meanwhile, suspected cases are being looked into in Brazil and Italy tied to travel to affected nations. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Due to Typhoon JUN, Hong Kong Express is cancelling 6 flights between Hong Kong and Okinawa. They include UO844, UO845, UO824, UO825 today, and UO842 and UO843 originally scheduled to depart tomorrow. Hong Kong Airlines meanwhile sees 4 round-trip flights between Okinawa and Hong Kong rescheduled to tomorrow. They include HX676, HX679, HX658, and HX659. Hong Kong Airlines has waived passenger fees for rebooking, changing destinations, and refunds. For now, Cathay Pacific and Greater Bay Area Airlines have not cancelled or rescheduled any flights. The observatory forecasts another wave of scorching heat will sweep across the city in the following few days. In Tsim Sha Tsui, many passers-by are wearing hats and carrying umbrellas to protect themselves from the sun. The observatory says winds are weak and the weather will be extremely hot over Guangdong in the latter part of this week, with the mercury rising to 35 degrees by Friday. Authorities remind residents to stay hydrated and pay attention to their health condition when they take part in outdoor activities. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.